Previously in the travel series, we traveled from Johannesburg to Hoedspruit, Limpopo in celebration of the channel being monetized. Upon arrival, we saw some hippos and a very large crocodile that looks docile from afar but will actually attack. And lastly, the 3 rondavels. I'll leave a link of the previous episode in the description for later consumption. One thing I forgot to mention in that previous video was the fact that in order to find the best steak in Hoedspruit, you need to do some gravel road exploration. The sketchier the gravel road, the tastier the steak. This was us leaving the restaurant after our dinner date and heading back to the lodge. But those BMW LED lights had us covered, so there was no need to worry about anything. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. In this video, we will be driving back to Johannesburg via Nelspruit, initially covering 160 kilometers from Hoedspruit to Nelspruit, and then 344 kilometers from Nelspruit to Johannesburg. This is slightly longer than the route that we took through Dalstrom. However, we're trying to be tourists in our own beautiful country and see as much of it as we can. Now, Hoedspruit has a very small and intimate town, but it has everything you need, from banks to grocery stores, and to my surprise, even car dealerships. We came across a GWM dealership while trying to find an ATM. You might even come across a safari vehicle randomly cruising around town. That's not strange at all. As always, we stopped for some refreshments at a nearby filling station, but this time around we did not need to refuel as we still had over a quarter of a tank left. To put it into perspective, this is the same tank that we poured in Johannesburg when we left. And when we got to Hoedspruit, we drove around the entire weekend off the same tank for our excursions. I reckon it can get us to Nelspruit, but let's find out. If you're wondering what a giant plane is doing on the side of the road, well, same here. This place is called Aerotel, and I didn't go inside, but based off of their website, it seems to be a hotel inside an aeroplane, which is an awesome concept and awkward at the same time. Check it out if you have time. One thing I've come to appreciate about driving around the country is that it's not about the destination or how quickly you can get there. It's about the journey, the places you see, the memories you make, the people you meet, and how the car makes you feel. With that being said, I'm as excited about this road trip as I've been any other. The first thing we noticed about Bushbuckridge is that most business signage is not in its original color. For instance, game is a lighter shade of pink, and the post office signage is also a shade lighter than its original colors. We even saw a blue Nedbank sign, which got me thinking, is that how hot the sun is in Bushbuckridge, where it melts billboards? How many of you can say you've seen a Swift petrol station? You see, I'm putting you on in this channel. Anyway, shout out if you're from Bushbuckridge. As mentioned in my recent community post, this is probably the last episode featuring the BMW on the channel for quite some time to come. That's because we're ushering in a new era of test vehicles which we've begun filming. So stay tuned for some exhilarating, action-packed episodes over the next couple of weeks and months. But having said that, worry not, the BMW will continue being a friend of the channel, and we'll try to feature it in the channel in some way, shape or form, but only on an intermittent basis going forward. And shout out to all the grandmothers, mothers, daughters, aunts, basically all of the women who wake up each and every day and earn an honest living on the side of the road. I truly admire what you do. And finally, we arrived in Nelspruit, and I must say that in my humble opinion, the quality of life in Nelspruit is arguably better than Johannesburg. And not just any part of Johannesburg, but the upper echelons of Johannesburg North. For starters, look at how clean the streets are. And apart from that, there aren't any visible potholes or water burst pipes which we came across during our drive through the city. Whereas, in contrast, it's pretty common in Johannesburg to find a neighborhood where the houses are valued at 3, 4, and even 5 million rands, and it looks like this. It's an active site every single day, whereby if it's not the water which is being fixed, it's the electricity. These water bursts over time cause the tarmac to erode and thereby creating more potholes, which then becomes a vicious cycle. At this rate, we will sell our houses for 800,000 rands one day. But we said we want to live in the richest square mile in Africa, so we only have ourselves to blame. Nonetheless, shout out and kudos to the local government in Nelspruit. This is honestly wonderful to see in a country that's deteriorating every day. We arrived at the petrol station in Nelspruit with only 62 kilometers of range, and we filled up for the amount that you're seeing on your screen. The petrol tank is full once again, and we are ready to set off. If you work at SAPI or know anyone who works at the specific plant, leave a comment in the comment section. Yay, kodwa iyanuka le ndawo xa udlula. Apparently, when you get to Waterval Boven tunnel, hooting randomly is something you have to do. And that's exactly what we did. I found this out from my wife inside the tunnel, by the way. So it's true that we learn something new every day. The toll gates in Mpumalanga need to be investigated because there's just no way it's normal for a single toll gate to cost 122 rands. That's at least half a tank for a Renault Kwid. But then again, the counter argument is that perhaps that's why Mbombela is as clean as it is. You never know. So yes, we spent 122 rands at Mercado Plaza and continued with our journey. Finally, we arrived at ALZU at about 3:30 p.m. and decided to sit down and have an early dinner to avoid driving around Johannesburg looking for food. But this time around, all the rhino came out to play for a change. Could the mighty M4 be the next channel car? Well, stick around and find out. Anyway, an hour later, it was time to hit the road once again. The roads were so packed on the way back home, but it was a long weekend after all, and I guess it was warranted. This was our last toll gate of the trip, which we paid 81 rands for. Touchdown eMalahleni, and that right there is the Ridge Casino. Brings back a lot of childhood memories with my cousins. Now, if you're from eMalahleni, leave a comment in the comment section. Once you get to eMalahleni, you're only a smidge over an hour away from Johannesburg, so we are nearly there. One thing about me on long distance drives is that I love a good sunset. This is a perfect example of that. And finally, we arrived in Johannesburg at just after 6 p.m. Only problem was that we were still on the freeway at the time and not home yet. And it was the season finale of Big Brother Mzansi. So we did what we could and tuned in from the car. Congratulations, Sweet Guluva, for the well-deserved win. We eventually arrived home at 6:30 p.m. and just to recap on a few travel statistics, we averaged 6.9 liters to the 100 from Hoedspruit to Johannesburg, which is not as efficient as the car can be, but the roads were quite busy in some of the places which we did not film as a result of the long weekend. Be that as it may, we still had way more than half a tank remaining from the full tank which we poured in Nelspruit, which is quite an impressive feat. The full cost breakdown of the trip is in front of your screen right now, which brings me to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care.